Happy Thursday. We are going to freestyle this morning. I think freestyling is necessary. It's how you become a little bit, not even a little bit, how you become more comfortable being yourself, right? Because so many times we go through life thinking about what we're going to say, thinking about how we're going to
Connected to
respond.
Bluetooth.
Excuse me. Thinking about how we're going to respond to something before it's even said to us. Like, so we're in this thing like way too much instead of just being free flowing. And being free flowing is where your creativity is housed, right? Like, you just being free to be yourself, to be expressive of yourself. That's where you flourish, like in that space, because that's that creative space. So for me, it's getting out of this and getting more into this, right? And then while I'm into this right here, because there's so many connections on an energetic level, but then on just the basic cell level, right? That heart space, right? And your gut. Do you know that once upon a time, your brain that's okay, that's another story. But your gut is extremely important, right? So it's extremely important to be mindful of the things that you consume, whether it's through here, through here, through here, okay? Because all of that impacts us, like all of that. It's all interconnected. You know, we want to show up and be our best self. And by doing that, is we operate in that creative space. We operate in that freeness to be ourself, right? And so when you're operating in that freeness, generally that means you're operating at a higher frequency. And when you're operating at a higher frequency, you're in alignment with who you really are. So that is where I am today. Focusing on how I feel. Focusing on, am I doing the action steps needed to attain a desired result? And if I am not doing those action steps, focusing on what is it that I'm feeling when I'm not doing those action steps, and why am I feeling that way? And that's really helping me to get to the root cause of so many things. And getting to the root cause has been just pivoting, right? Being able to pivot. And then sometimes you don't even need the root cause. It's just knowing, that knowing piece that you need to do X, Y, Z. And the reason why you are where you are is because you didn't do X, Y, Z. That little sting, you know. But we're going to become uncomfortable. Like, become uncomfortable so you can become more comfortable in your own skin. Yes. I am becoming uncomfortable just so I can flourish, so I can be me. And then honestly, when it's like, when you're putting yourself out there, I feel like that's the uncomfortable piece, because you are unsure of how people are going to accept you, right? So you're unsure of how someone may accept you, how someone may perceive you, things of that nature, right? And then it doesn't matter those perceptions, right? What really matters is your perception, like your perception of who you're being, right? Your perception of how you come across, right? So if you go out there and you put your best foot forward, how anyone else feels about that really shouldn't matter, because you're putting your best foot forward. And as long as you can say that and know that to be true, that's really all that matters. And if you continue to put your best foot forward, you're going to continue to become a better person, you know, at whatever it is that you desire to become better at. So just go out there and be you. What do you have to lose? Like, what do you have to lose? Just go out there and be you. That's the most important thing you can do, is go out there and be you. Be you. Like, be you. What's better than that? What's better than being yourself? What's better than being free to be yourself? Like, you're the only one that has to live with you. You're the only one that has to go to bed with you at nighttime. You could be married, you could be in a relationship, you could have a job. All of those things are opt in and opt out, right? At will. If a person doesn't want to continue to be with you, you can't be mad with them. You know what I mean? Things change. People change. You evolve. You grow. You know? So it's understanding that you have to be happy with you. That's it. That's it. And once you become accepting of yourself and accepting of where you are, and by being accepting of where you are currently, you're taking accountability for that too. Because that accountability piece is what's going to help you to evolve and grow, right? So all of that stuff around you doesn't matter. It really doesn't. You know, life is our greatest teacher. We go through things so we can grow through things, right? And if a person chooses not to grow, that's really on them. But what I can say, life is an amazing teacher as long as you are receptive to what it is teaching you. And if anything life has taught me is to go out there and be you and do you, D. You know, somebody's going to feel it. And as long as that somebody is me, that's the most important piece. That's the most important piece. Because that's where that confidence is born. That's when you're like, okay, I can do it. Believing in yourself. But you have to be true to yourself. You got to go out there and be authentic. Because anything that comes out here and is like a projection of what someone really is, and not really like a transparency, like what a person is, trust me, they ain't really confident. They can say that they are. But when you go out there and you're authentic and you true to yourself and you are comfortable in your own skin and you are comfortable with being you to the world, and there's nothing better. There really isn't, you know. That's where that, like I said, that's where that confidence is born. And when you know that you're the shit, you can't be stopped. But you do have to continue to be your best self. You know, you can't take that throne and be like, oh, I'm this and oh, I'm that, and then not continue to put your best foot forward. You know, it's a continuous process. It's day in, day out, day in, day out, day in, day out. And it's not physical work. You know, a lot of the work is here. A lot of the work is here. You know, but go out there and be yourself. You know, fall in love with you. I think that's the most important piece, is to be able to look at yourself in the mirror, like gaze at yourself, and really marvel in that person that you're looking at. Like, you can look at that person and smile. You can look at that person and feel good and say, hey, you know, as silly as it may sound, but if you don't love yourself, like really love yourself, do some mirror work. Talk to yourself. Say affirmations in the mirror. Look in yourself in the eyes. You know, I am powerful. I am beautiful. I am peaceful. I am abundant. I am prosperous. I am thriving. I am amazing. I am wealthy. I am happy. I am attracting into my existence all things of abundance. I am opening myself up to receive everything that is for me. I am happy, healthy, and wealthy. So you can do simple things. Put sticky notes on your bathroom mirror. Things you want to say to yourself to reaffirm. But loving yourself, pouring into yourself is key. And I really don't know. I said we was going to freestyle, so I don't even know what we talked about at the top of the video, so I ain't even going to try to take it back. Because those of you that hop on my videos sometimes know I'll like, oh, yeah, this is where we got. We freestyling today. It's just really about going out there, doing you, being you, showing up as your best self over and 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 over. That's one thing you do consistently, is show up as your best self. And everything else will fall into place, if that makes sense. Because if you're putting your best foot forward and everything else falls into place. We are escaping to freedom, y'all. You know, I know I went over here. I had to rein myself back in and really free up this thing, because as a teacher, if you're not utilizing your own principles, right? If I'm just sitting up here saying to you, do as I do, do as I say, not as I do, rather. Yeah, I could never, like, that's never been my style with anything that I do. With my parenting, with my teaching, because, you know, teacher, you know, with my personal training, anything. Like, I'm not a do as I say, not as I do type of person. So, you know, I had to put a lot of these principles back into action to ensure that my mind, my spirit, my body is in a space to where I can teach. You know, we're not going to just go out there and teach and not live by those same principles ourselves. That's my philosophy. You know, we got to show and prove. And yeah, escape to freedom. We about to show and prove. You know, I have some goals this month, and I understand that organization and preparation and planning is what's going to get me there. You feel me? But be you. Do you. Go out there and just live your life. There's nothing to be afraid of. You got this. Trust me. You got it.